One way to run more smoothly is to run with less jerk force. Jerk force is a term in running and is an indicator of the brake force that occurs at touchdown during running when the foot strikes the ground and the body comes to a complete dead stop, hence the term braking. Just to give you more context, steady state running involves first braking at touchdown and then propulsion during each stance phase of running. It's important to note that the jerk force duration or intensity from braking can vary depending on the style of running. For example, a 2000 study published in the journal Gait Posture found that many competitive runners, now it's important to mention that most competitive runners tend to use a non-heel strike running style. These runners had smoother strides than recreational runners. And it's important to also mention that many recreational runners often use a heel strike running style, which often involves much greater braking force demands than a non-heel strike running style. So why would a heel strike runner potentially run less smoothly with more jerk force compared to a non-heel strike runner? In the case of heel strike running, many of these runners really tend to run with a pendulum style leg swing, which looks like this. These runners tend to overstride, whereby the leg of the landing foot has the knee unbent or completely straightened out to help set up the heel to strike the ground at touchdown. During heel strike running, this alignment of the leg along with an unbent knee joint positions the foot to land way ahead of the body, creating a long distance between initial foot strike position and the torso and the head, whereby the longer this distance, the distance between initial foot strike position and the torso and head in heel strike running, the greater the brake force duration or the more intensive the jerk force, which may result in greater muscular action to manage or overcome the impeding brake force. Why is this a problem? It turns out that a greater jerk force may be in accordance to higher impact forces. It may mean elements that may make high injury rates possible. And to back up this assertion, we've seen a lot of good examples of this in the scientific literature as the impact related variables of heel strike running, which often includes high jerk forces brought on by the extended brake force duration, may fuel impact assaults on the muscles and bones. Therefore, an overload of the jerk force may affect a heel strike runner's capacity to essentially avoid injury. This could be energetically costly, as additional muscular action and muscular forces may be needed to help overcome high brake force demands and the prolonged jerk force duration period in efforts to help reinforce sustained forward momentum and help propel the body forward at each step in heel strike running. So you can no doubt begin to realize how hard the leg may really need to work to help execute the next step in heel strike running. Now, furthermore, just as a general observation, heel strike running may cause a heel strike runner to essentially run with, obviously, with a jerkier stride, jolty stride with greater rigidity, more bounce, more thud, and a more inelastic, less responsive overall stride as compared with many forefoot runners. Now, comparatively, forefoot runners are also known as gliders because forefoot runners really tend to glide across the running surface, and this is because many forefoot runners tend to run with less jerk force because the brake force duration period in forefoot running tends to be reduced. So just try yourself. You'll see that your stride will automatically and naturally shorten just by landing on the front part of your foot first when you run. And always remember that in forefoot running, remember to bend your knee when your forefoot strikes the ground, because doing so will certainly help guide your foot to land close to your torso. Doing so may also help build a strong base to help drive the jerk force downward and allow for a more responsive, springy, elastic interaction of your foot with the ground, enabling you to potentially build up more forward momentum. Now, another positive component about the reduced jerk force in forefoot running is that it may create less demands for the muscles and soft tissues in the leg to try and work to minimize and dampen excessive impact, which may help lift energy demands in forefoot running, which is very important for runners, as runners really do need all the energy they can get. This is why I truly think forefoot running may be very good for runners who suffer from impact-related injuries, because with forefoot running, there appears to be a more unbroken chain of forward momentum, helping you move forward with less jolt and thud with your foot on the ground. Overall, running with less jerk force via forefoot running is something that would be extraordinarily positive, because the foot is in a power position that supports an effective, more sustainable, smooth drive forward that is less forceful. This is why there is more recognition placed on forefoot running as a major supporter or a promoter of impact shock force reduction, as less braking is really seen as a natural component in forefoot running. And in contrast, however, many heel strike runners really seem to share a very common risk factor for injury, which just happens to be increased jerk force, which is seen as part of the challenge of avoiding repetitive stress injury brought on by high impact landings in heel strike running. So in getting back to forefoot running, we really have seen how effective the dramatic reduction of the brake force and the jerk force can be, and it is a step that is long overdue, because many runners who do heel strike are still faced with many running related injuries. So the take-home message from this video is that forefoot running may be a better action plan that naturally coordinates safer foot-ground interactions, and may be an economically cheaper vehicle for the muscles by virtue in assisting in less hard brute brake forces, and may result in a stunning transformation in your capacity to essentially dodge many common running related injuries. To learn more about the differences between forefoot running and heel strike running, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, where you will also stay up to date on the health and performance benefits of barefoot running as well as minimalist running. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Have fun out there on the roads and trails. Bye for now.